This is, my lord, dealing with scheduled and tribal areas. None of this can be wished away, certainly not by executive action, my lord. It is so crucial to understand this diversity of our constitution. 244 says, administration of scheduled areas and tribal areas shall apply to the administration and control of scheduled areas in any state other than the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. And then 244A is a very important provision, my lord, because it relates to autonomous states. Our constitution, my lord, doesn't shy away from creating autonomous states, my lord. In fact, it reinforces them. And if there was that measure of autonomy, my lord, in JK, then it is not inconsistent with so many provisions in our constitution which respect autonomy for what it's worth in special areas. (244A), my lord, is very important. And when I come to Schedule 6, because if this can be done, my lord, under President's rule, place any under President's rule, expand it beyond the legislative function. Simply can't be done, my lord. These are mandatory provisions of the Constitution. 244A, formation of an autonomous state concerning tribal areas in Assam and the creation of local legislative councilmen. Parliament may by law, from within the state of Assam, an autonomous state comprising whether wholly in part of tribal areas. Autonomy, my lord, of the states is fundamental to our constitution. I rely on the two daily judgments, my lord, of your lordships to reinforce this. Where your lordship respected, my lord, the autonomy of the legislatures and their existence. Those passages I'll show to your lordships very fast, my lord, because they're in my written submissions. Autonomy, my lord, is not alien to our constitution. You can't just standardize, my lord, all the provisions and say, look, we give autonomy here, but we're not going to give autonomy to J&K. Why? Because on 19th December, we took away a provision. J&K is not a dead horse, my lord, to be flogged or not to be flogged. It is the constitution of an autonomous region through the merger agreements which are part of 370. I'll come to 370 in a moment. It's very important to understand and not wish away the autonomy in Indian federalism. Then, my lord, if I may take your lordships, my lord, to 275. It has special provisions, my lord, made in 275, subclause 1A. I tell them you are my guru. Now, my lord, kindly see what happens to the disbursement of grants to autonomous states in 275 1A. Next, my lord, 279A, which is the GST amendment. I put it in summary form, my lord, in the table so that it will be a little easier for your lordships. Even in the distribution, my lord, as far as the GST applies, 279A subclause 4G says special provision, sorry. I'm sorry, my lord, where I put in my chart 279, it should say 279A, my lord. Now, my lord, 4G is a very interesting proposition. Special provision meant to be made to the states of Arunachal, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand.
This must be on account of geographical reasons.
Sorry, my lord?
This must be on account of geographical reasons. All these are really states.
Partly that and partly because of the nature of the states. Your lordship is right, my lord. But this can be reversed and it will be placed before the GST because it lays later on that the GST Council will look at this. Now, my lord, I come to Article 330. Very important provision, my lord. To say that special provisions can't be made in the Constitution is anathema, my lord. My lord, these special provisions relate to certain classes. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, Anglo-Indians, etc. Special provisions are a regular feature of our Constitution. I don't want to take your lordships through this, but these special provisions exist, without which, my lord, so much could not be done for the SC, ST or the OBCs. In fact, all these commissions, my lord, they report. And when the government of the state, it has a very interesting provision that it shall be laid before the legislature of the state, explaining with a memorandum the action taken or proposed to be taken on the recommendations relating to the state reasons for the non-acceptance. This is, my lord, 338(7). This is what should be done with President's rule, my lord. Even the governor's report, my lord, was not placed. This is what has to be written in, just as your lordship with Nagaraj added conditionalities, my lord. This is what should be written into 356. You put in all the information you have, you put in the governor's report, and you give the reasons for the non-acceptance. This runs for the other commissions as well. Otherwise, my lord, 356 has become a farce. When I was doing my book on President's rule, my lord, the elaborate discussion on Kerala, my lord, when President's rule was imposed. As we come down the line, there is hardly any discussion in Parliament. Why? Because all the information is not even there. And in the case, my lord, of Jammu and Kashmir, it wasn't there. The entire correspondence, my lord. I'm just building, my lord, something that is here in 338(7), which is also for the other commissions, my lord. Something, my lord, that gives information to the people and those people who have to, Parliament that has to bless or unbless, as the case may be, my lord, President's rule. That entire cache of information, which is so fundamental, my lord, to democracy and federalism, is missing in the proclamations. Then, my lord, if I may take my lords, my lord, to an interesting provision, my lord, 330, my lord, which makes special provision for reservation of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Sorry.
We saw 30, 330. We've seen 330.
Assam is mentioned, you've
Yes.
done that. 343, my lord. This has to be read with the 8th schedule. Kashmiri, my lord, is one of the languages recognized by the 8th schedule. Kindly just bear this in mind. So in communications, in complaints, etc., Kashmiri can be used. That has not been taken away and cannot be taken away. Part of the spirit, my lord, of a region or a state is its language. Now, my lord, your lordships, when you look at the language of the union, a commission is appointed. (347) makes special provisions for language spoken by a section of the population. And of course, my lord, chapter 4, that's 350, has special directives in relation to language. Who is going to make those special directives now? The President? Parliament? What is the status of Kashmiri now, my lord? Does it disappear from the 8th schedule, my lord? Then, my lord, 371A, my lord, has a very interesting provision. 368, my lord, I have kind of dealt with, my lord. So I won't take your lordships to that. But 371A, my lord. This is a very interesting provision, my lord. With all this discussion on the Uniform Civil Code, these are also unamendable provisions, my lord. Just as we are arguing that 370 was unamendable, my lord, by 368, subject to a certain procedure.